Had Dejounte Murray turn heel on the fan base that has supported him for many years?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. I'm pretty sure you're well aware of what has taken place over the last couple of days. I thought I would rarely have to talk about Dejounte Murray now that he got traded, to Atlanta. But apparently, it's still. I really thought the next time I was going to talk to him about him was his return visit to San Antonio next season. But no, it looks like the Dejounte Murray chatter hasn't stopped, despite the trade getting done weeks ago. In case you're living under a rock, Dejounte Murray a couple days ago fired back at a troll, apparent Spurs fan on Instagram. And ironically, it was on his farewell to San Antonio Instagram post where he, in a nutshell, said the Spurs would not be winning for the next 15 years, that there's something wrong with the system. And then in a previous tweet, days before the Instagram post, he had put out there that he is finally free, capital letters, and wanted, capital letters. Yeah, there's so much going on here. What is going on with Dejounte? We're going to be breaking it down on this fan episode of Locked On Spurs, because I had to bring a fan in for this one, because fans really are, majority of them are turning their back on Dejounte Murray. It might be a dicey welcome back to San Antonio next season for Dejounte Murray, who is helping me in this episode of Locked On Spurs. He is a regular fan contributor here. He is Zach Escamilla. Zach, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. And one thing I like about Zach is every time he comes into our conference room, he has like a different name. And today he's Shooter McGavin from the old Adam Sandler movie. Welcome, Shooter.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm here to shoot my shot with some hot takes.
Well, yeah, apparently Dejounte Murray had a lot of hot things to say, and it's gotten the fan base very riled up. But before we get into that, how you been?
Doing well, man. Just working hard, living the dad life, watching the chaos unfold.
You're telling me, and I really thought, Zach, like after Summer League was over, and I was looking forward to this, like a period of downtime, just to relax, chill. Hey, Spurs are out of commission. The NBA's out of commission now for about a month and a half. But here we are. Dejounte Murray and a fan got in a little back and forth on his Instagram. We're going to be talking about it right now. So let's go ahead and rewind the tape, Zach. And, before the Instagram post is mentioned, there was a tweet. And in that tweet, Dejounte Murray was sharing his emotions, saying that, obviously referring to the fact that he's with Atlanta now, saying that he feels wanted, capital letters, that he feels free, capital letters, and that he is now happy, capital letters. So this was on July 17, 2022 at 5:33 p.m. He says, quote, on Twitter, I feel free and I feel wanted. 100. Best season along with being happy, capital letters, on the way, I promise. Few exclamation points and a little, I guess, angry, tough, I guess, emoji face. So there was that one, Zach. So they got the fan base a little riled up. All right, but this one really took the cake. So then you have this a couple of days ago. Dejounte Murray on his, again, farewell to San Antonio post responds to a fan that was, ribbing him and giving him a little bit of the business, saying, fly away, little birdie. We're building around, Keldon now. You're going to wish that you stayed on like Kawhi Leonard. It was just a lot of back and forth. And Dejounte Murray gave in. And he told the guy, are you mad? Are you mad? Laugh out loud. And then he says, and here we go, quote, again, Dejounte Murray's Instagram post. The way the system's set up, you're going to be losing for the next 15 years. Problem bigger than basketball. That's fired up the fan base. Zach, I'm talking too much here. I know you are the guest, so apologies. I just want to make sure we're very clear on the comments made by Murray. Um, First of all, I know you have your opinions, but how have the fan bases been receiving these messages from Dejounte, who historically does put out cryptic messages on social media?
Well, I'll say this much, Jeff. We know Dejounte Murray is only 25 years old. He's an emotional guy. And for the past few seasons and off seasons, as you just alluded to, he has been consistently tweeting cryptic messages on social media, whether that's Twitter, whether that's Instagram. If we truly read between the lines, I mean, I think Murray has just been what he is, and that's just an immature kid. Listen, when I was 25, I said plenty of things that I probably should have kept to myself or left in the drafts of a text message. Now, with that being said, I do think it's pretty lame to attack the organization after you came out and praised them. And I think most fans will agree with me here. It's especially funny to me and probably other fans because this is a guy who said he wanted to be a Spur for life. Now, doesn't that sound familiar, Jeff? Who else said this and is no longer a Spur?
They all say that. Trey Lyles said that too.
Well, I mean, but who is the person that said it?
Yeah, I know who you're going with. Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard. You know, I almost feel like whenever a player says, "I want to be a Spur for life," that's the kiss of death. I really do believe that. I mean that's just my take there.
Yeah, and look, let's just be very fair. We're going to be very fair. Dejounte did post a very nice message about leaving San Antonio. Thank you, San Antonio and the Spurs. When he was traded, he was open and honest, at least from what we, have to take it for what it's worth, that it was a mutual parting. The Spurs wanted to send him elsewhere. Now he's entering the prime of his career, and the Spurs got to haul back. It was a mutual thing. It was good for both parties. Popovich came out and paid a farewell message to Dejounte as well. Dejounte Murray has called the Spurs a class act, first class organization. So we're being fair. We're trying to cover all our bases here. So there has been that side, but now these messages have started popping up. Let's go ahead and break down that first one days ago before the Instagram one on Twitter, where he talked about being free and happy and wanted. Okay, I feel free. We'll start off with that segment right there. This is not the first time we've seen players act differently when they leave San Antonio. Danny Green leaves San Antonio, starts his own podcast. He didn't do that. I mean, it was like instantly, just boom, he started doing that. We've seen other players, a little bit more open with media once they leave San Antonio. Obviously, that could mean anything. We don't know. We're trying just to deconstruct what Dejounte Murray tweeted on July 17, 2022. I feel wanted. Did he feel unwanted by the Spurs? We don't know that unless he comes out and says and clears it up, which I doubt he'll say. Being happy along the way. I think he should have been happy in San Antonio. He made an all-star team as a Spur. Broke records as a Spur last season. Got to learn from some of the best in the business in his younger career. Tony Parker, Manu, Kawhi, got to throw him in there, LMA, DeMar. How do you see this tweet back on July 17th when he's saying free, wanted, happy? How did you see this, Zach?
And this is the one where it's fuzzy because on one hand, you can make the argument that he feels free, that he can be himself. The Spurs have always been known as sort of a choir boy organization where everybody needs to fall in line, get over themselves. I don't know what is said behind closed doors. I don't know what Pop tells these players. I don't know what the Spurs public relations staff relays to these gentlemen. I don't know what the rules are. So with that being said, you mentioned Danny Green getting a podcast the minute that he leaves. Did Pop and the PR team advise against that and said, hey, as long as you're a Spur, you can't do this? Maybe. I don't know. So maybe he feels like he has the freedom to do more. I mean, he posted some video of him online at a club. I'll just leave it at that. It's kind of racy, but the point is
a gentleman's club, but it looks like
yes, he never would have done that here in San Antonio. I mean, let's just be honest.
Now, let's look at this too. I feel free. Now, maybe he could have been referring to the style of play. I feel free, to play a little bit more.
Could have been that too. Maybe he feels like he could be more himself. But where I get a little bit annoyed at that, it's like, dude, you were the guy. You were the man on the team. You were the point guard. You were the highest scorer on the team. You were the one that had the ball in your hand. How much more free did you need to be on the court? I kind of feel like he had free reign, unless there's something I don't know.
Exactly. Well, we're not done talking about Dejounte Murray. When we get back, we're going to continue talking about these cryptic messages and dive into the big one that really sent the fan base into, DEFCON, what is it, 1, the highest level, and got fans really, really upset. By the way, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. I want to talk to you about Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sporting and wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And Bet Online remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, news this season. You can even go to betonline.net right now and see the Vegas lines on whether any of the 3 Spurs rookies have a legit shot at getting the Rookie of the Year next season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports, podcasts, and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Go to the website right now, today. Use your mobile device. Learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're back with Zach Escamilla on this fan episode of Locked On Spurs, and we're dissecting the messages from former Spur Dejounte Murray that has gotten the fan base very riled up. And hey, which NFL stars move the betting line the most? Starting July 18th, Locked On gives you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from odds maker at BetOnline. Available July 18th on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So let's go to kind of tidy up now the tweet he said back before the IG post. It's interesting because, you hear words like that, like he said, free and happy and wanted, and he put those in capital letters. Do you think maybe this is just a byproduct of the Spurs' rigid system? Because although he didn't do this, but remember, LMA wanted out of San Antonio. Remember, he said at least that's what the reports were saying, and even Pop came out to say it, that he didn't fit. He didn't feel he didn't fit in the system.
Yeah, they lost him for nothing, Jeff. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, and then Kawhi wanted out. He forced his way out of San Antonio. Do you think? And then also too, this is a new era of players. Perhaps the militaristic, rigid approach doesn't work anymore in San Antonio.
Pop needs to retire, Jeff. Plain and simple. He's ran his course.
Is that a sentiment among Spurs fans as well, or is that just you? And including you. I mean, is that a common sentiment?
I think more fans are coming around to that idea, but for the most part, it's still going to be a divisive topic, because you're going to have some folks that say, "Oh, Pop's got 5 titles. How dare you? How dare you have the audacity to, talk down Pop?" And here's my take on it as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Unfortunately, Tom Landry had an expiration date, 1989. They went 1-15. The game had passed him by, and when Jerry Jones fired him, a lot of people were thinking, "How could you do that to Tom Landry?" It's like, hey man, he was running an outdated system. Sure, he's still a Hall of Famer. He's a great coach, but things evolve. The game evolves. Things change. They needed a new voice. The Spurs need a new voice. I'm sorry, Pop has nothing left to prove. He got the record last year. They should have sat everybody. They should have been playing Jock Landale and Trey Jones 45 minutes a night after Pop got the record, Jeff. I mean, listen, I hope Branham, Sohan, and and Wesley are going to be studs. I mean, maybe, but the fact that, you're seeing guys like Keegan Murray, Banchero, these guys looked really great in summer league. And I know it's just summer league, but the point is they're showing why they were elite draft talent. And to me, Spurs may have some projects on their hand when they could have just sat down, tanked, and maybe they're in a better position today. I don't know, but I still think, where I agree with Murray here, and I know folks are going to get upset at me for saying that, I can agree where he's a little frustrated and saying, you know what, I'm free of that organization and some of the shenanigans that I disagreed with there. Mm-hmm. It's just, for me, the audacity for him to say it after they gave him what he wanted. He wanted to go to Atlanta. They did him a favor and sent him there. They could have, pulled what they did to Kawhi and sent him somewhere maybe he didn't want to go. Maybe they could have sent him to the Knicks instead. We all know that's a dysfunctional franchise. But no, they sent him to the Atlanta Hawks because they respected him enough to where they thought, you know what? We think we can get a deal that benefits the Hawks and also benefits us. So, he comes out, says, oh, thank you, San Antonio. I love you. I kind of feel like I'm on an episode of Maury Povich, where Maury Povich is coming out and saying the lie detector test determined that was a lie. So I feel like some of these tweets that came out really negated that love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get why Spurs fans right now feel blindsided by Murray's comment. And, let's get into the one that really went nuclear, and that is what happened a couple of days ago on Instagram. So again, it was the irony about it. It's on his farewell to San Antonio post. That's the irony of it.
What the hell?
But a fan was interacting with Murray, told him, quote, "Bye, fly little birdie. Good luck getting to the second round. At least we got the picks, and we're building around Keldon." That triggered Dejounte Murray. He did not hold back, and he responded, quote, "The way that system's set up, you're going to be losing for the next 15 years. Problem bigger than basketball." That's what happened. That's what got Spurs fans going. And let's go and start dissecting that. I look at that. First of all, I'm thinking, Dejounte, I get it. You're still a young man, but you got to show some restraint. Fans are going to be fans. They're going to try to rally you up, and you gave in.
He's making millions of dollars. There's no reason to, just in the words of Taylor Swift,
just chill.
Take it off,
I get I'm not nowhere near the level of Dejounte Murray or anything like that, but I try to be interactive with fans more so than most media, and
you get some weird ones too. Jeff. You're very accessible for a sports writer.
Yeah. And I try my best to hold. Yeah, and I try my best to hold back. I rarely fire back. I either ignore it or just move on. And Dejounte fired back, and that's what started. But you know what? Before we start digging into this one, let's go ahead and take a little break here. But we're going to be talking about the one that went nuclear on Spurs fans in just a few minutes. We're here with Zach Escamilla on this fan episode of Locked On Spurs, discussing the cryptic messages by former Spur Dejounte Murray targeted at his former club. We're back with Zach Escamilla right here on this fan episode of Locked On Spurs, and we're discussing Dejounte Murray's tweets and comments on Instagram that has gotten Spurs fans riled up. So, Zach, I look at what he just said, on Instagram, losing for the next 15 years.
No!
I mean, how did you take that? How did the fans take that?
I thought that part was kind of funny because I know they are in rebuild tank mode, if you will. But 15 years, that's Sacramento King territory right there. So, I definitely, could agree with some of the messaging where he said, it's bigger than basketball and the system, maybe a little bit outdated or suspect, at least him insinuating that. and I say that because clearly the organization has been running in a very unusual, uncharted type of territory manner. I mean, it seems with the way that this offseason has progressed, the Spurs are finally accepting that they are in that full tank or rebuild mode, and we can see that. So, I mean, you just look at the prior offseason, Jeff, or prior off seasons, I should say. Obviously outside that one season where we had DeRozan, Aldridge, Derek White, Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, and went 7 games with the Denver Nuggets, it just really didn't work out. And then the past season, it was just a very mishmash, strange group of personnel that they had. And, Pop got that record, and it just, okay, let's go for this play-in with this odd roster where nobody really seemed to fit. I don't know. It was just weird. So I can see where Murray was just a little ticked off and said, you know what? We had a weird season. We have 3 draft picks. The Spurs drafted 3 young guys. How dare they? Why didn't they go out and get me a sidekick? Why didn't they go out and get me a couple of sidekicks with that draft capital? So I really believe, Jeff, that draft night was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that was the night where he said, you know what? I want out. I don't want to be a part of this rebuild. If I have a chance to go play with my buddy Trae Young, this isn't doing it for me. And, I can respect that. I get it. He wants to win. He's a competitor. But ultimately, it all comes down to keeping your mouth shut, man. And I think as Dejounte Murray gets older, he'll learn just like I did. Because, again, I've been Dejounte Murray. I've been the kid that put his foot in his mouth. I've been that. I'll admit that. So I think as he gets older, he's going to learn that silence is golden and that it's what you don't say that ultimately will make a bigger impact. So I think Dejounte Murray just has to take this as a learning experience. But overall, I do kind of see where he's coming from. But the 15 years part, that's just ridiculous, Jeff. The Spurs aren't losing for the next 15 years. That's crazy
Yeah.
talk.
And he mentioned the system. How what did he say again? The system, the way the system is set up, you're going to be losing for 15 years. The system. He could be talking about the current NBA collective bargaining system. He could be talking about the system being how players move from team to team now, and they do buddy up, team ups. We really haven't seen that in San Antonio at all. Or he could be referring to the Spurs system as being outdated. One of the things that Spurs fans have been, banging, the door on is to stop heavily relying on the Austin Spurs G League system. Sure, send the kids out there for a spell, but don't bury them there. Maybe he's talking about that that system is broken, that these kids need to just jump in right away.
And I agree with that, Jeff, because obviously, listen, you and I know when Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker were still here and the Spurs were still competing in the playoffs, competing for championships, it made sense to send a Kyle Anderson to the G League. It made sense, to have these guys.
Lonnie Walker, Bryn Forbes.
It had sense for these fellows to go in and get some playing time because I think as Pop said it during Derek White's rookie season, there was no room for him at the end. They had Tony Parker still. Dejounte Murray was still there. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So it even though I disagreed with it, I hated when they got shipped to Austin because as a fan, I'm looking at it like, hey, we got this new young stud on the team. Let's see what they can do. So I've always been annoyed by the Austin thing. But now we come into this season. We got 3 fresh rookies on a roster that, at least on paper, is not very good. And even Vegas has us, at 23 wins?
Yeah, 23 and a half, yeah.
So you're telling me you're going to send 3 kids to Austin for a majority of the season when there's literally 0 expectations. I mean, this is when you want them to play, right? When there's 0 expectations, get on-the-job training in the NBA where Pop or Brett Brown could say, listen, guys, just go out there, have fun, learn the plays, learn the system. We win, great. If we don't, it's okay. We're learning. Mm-hmm. We're growing. So for me as a fan, and I think a lot of other fans too, if these kids get sent to Austin, then what the heck are we doing? I mean,
Yeah, but again, the system. Now we can only, the look at what Dejounte said. He says the system because it's fair to lean that he's talking about the Spurs system. Is it outdated? Is you're talking about? Does it need a revision? But the 15 years thing, yeah, that's kind of a low. That's definitely a shot at the Spurs and their future. And again, you circle back to why Spurs fans feel, jaded. They feel a little, slapped. This is a guy that, what was it? Was it when he was making the All-Star? Well, on the All-Star ballot, how many fans came out to vote? I mean, you got called out on social media by Spurs fans if you weren't voting for him. I mean, if you didn't have proof that you voted.
Oh, Jeff, I was called out. I think I voted for him one time, and people were like, "Oh, why aren't you voting for him more?" I'm like, "What? I did my thing.
Yeah.
I voted once." I mean, and just for me personally, Jeff, I can appreciate
the sneakers too.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times the fans were supporting him in the sneakers?
The fans loved him here. They were buying his merchandise. You were a hater if you weren't falling in love with this guy. I got accused of being a hater just because I think I came out and said, I think he's an okay player. I always thought he was kind of a borderline all-star, but for me personally, when they traded him, I was fine with it. I mean, I've said it on this podcast before. When it happened, when you had me on, I said, they got 3 first-round picks for him. That's pretty awesome for a guy that was a borderline all-star that only made it because of, guess what, Jeff? The support of the fans. Fans here were tweeting Selena Gomez and tweeting Samuel L. Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones, hey, use your clout to get Dejounte Murray in the game. So for him to say, oh, I didn't feel wanted or this or that, it's like, dude, fans loved you here, man. Come on now.
Yeah, again, we also have to put out there, too, that Dejounte Murray recently had a loss in his family. I believe his grandmother passed away. And maybe his emotions were high at the moment and it got the best of him. It happens to everybody. And he said he fired off to a fan that maybe he should have. Now, he also did, let's be fair, in the same Instagram thread, he did say that his remarks weren't aimed at fans, that he embraces, the real fans, that he embraces real fans. So he did make that clear.
Well, what is a real fan, though, Jeff? That's where it's subjective,
He's addressed that many a times when he was in San Antonio, and basically said he likes real fans. And doesn't he lean towards blocking fans a lot? Like didn't Marco Bellinelli do the same? So so he's blocking Spurs fans, fans on Twitter as well, but. It's just that one comment that the way that system set up, you're going to be losing for the next 15 years. Problem bigger than basketball. Is that a cryptic message again saying there's something behind the scenes internally? Problem bigger than basketball.
What else is bigger than basketball?
We're
coaching?
Right. No, I understand that. Coaching is part of basketball, but it could be
front office,
either front office. It could be something else. We don't know because he wasn't specific. All we can do is speculate. We're not trying to put words in his mouth. We're just only going with what he mentioned on Twitter and on his Instagram and on his Twitter. Let's make that very clear. When he says problem bigger than basketball, how do you read that? How did the fans read that?
Maybe he's talking about his love life, Jeff. I don't know. I mean, who the heck knows?
Obviously, he's talking about his former club. We know that. We know he's talking about his former club. There's no doubt about that.
But you know what, Jeff? Here's the one thing, and if we mentioned this already, I apologize for repeating this. But I mean, isn't it interesting how may his great grandmother rest in peace? All respect to her, and condolences to him and his family. But the fact that outside of that fact, Keldon Johnson got paid pretty handsomely. 4 years, $80 million extension, which is odd to me because he's a Clutch client. I really thought Keldon was going to be on his way out. Maybe he still is. I mean, Derek White signed a contract, didn't finish it out here. Dejounte Murray signed a contract, got traded. So
at least reportedly, Keldon Johnson does not have a no trade clause, so it still could happen.
But that's what I'm saying. So you never know. But the point is, Was he a little bit jealous when he saw that, thinking, really, you kept my little bro over me and you paid him all that money? People forget these guys are human. And as humans, we all have emotions. We can all get jealous. God
And they're
knows
still kids.
God knows I've been jealous of people that got promotions at work when maybe I thought I was more deserving. Plenty of people have been in that position in their life. So I get it. But at the end of the day, Jeff, this dude was granted his wish. He wanted to go play for a contender, and he wanted to go play with his friend Trae Young. It's like, dude, you have your cake. Now you can eat it too, bro. Like,
Yeah.
You said the right things. Fans were supporting you. Fans were saying, hey, man, good luck in Atlanta. Thanks for everything. So now, regardless of what the true intentions were behind these tweets, the damage has been done. Fans are already saying they're going to boo him next season. Fans are already calling him a bum, a traitor, and this and that. So all he had to do was just not say anything. Let the haters hate. And he would have still had majority of the fan base that would give him a standing ovation next season. Now, that's in jeopardy. He's on the verge of getting booed.
Do you think he turned heel? Do you think you think he was just being a kid and just maybe shouldn't have said anything he shouldn't say, and just a weak moment? Or do you think he was just letting things off his chest? Because as we talked about, there was the tweet. Let's not forget about the tweet. I know everybody's focused on the Instagram right now. But the tweet was happy, capital letters, free, capital letters, best was in capital letters, wanted was in capital letters. So you combine that tweet with an Instagram post.
And the fact that he deleted the tweet, Jeff, let's not forget, he deleted it. Why would you delete that?
He didn't delete his Instagram things as of this recording. Who knows? Maybe, by now the handlers over in Atlanta took it down by now, or, something happened. But nevertheless, he didn't take those down. So he's putting it out there. But it's really going to be interesting to see how he's received next season. When Atlanta makes it only just one visit to San Antonio. So that's their one shot. He's going to get the tribute video. That's coming. There will be fans clapping for him, but not going to be surprised if there is also some booing coming from the arena next season in San Antonio. Final thoughts, Zach, on Dejounte Murray's comments and any other fan base reaction that you didn't hit?
I think really just for me, Jeff, not to beat a dead horse, this organization is definitely at a turning point. I will say that it's time for fans to just let this go. I know that is, for folks that were true Dejounte Murray fans, like loved the guy, bought his merchandise, supported him from day one, this probably stings a little, and that's okay. But I would just urge those fans to look at the current group of guys and root for the name on the front of the jersey. Root for the San Antonio. The retro jerseys are coming back. And if you're going to buy one of those retro jerseys, don't focus on a current player. Buy a legacy player. Buy Iceman. Buy Tim Duncan. Buy Tony Parker. Buy Monty Ginobili. Heck, buy a Coyote jersey because those are safe. Buy David Robinson. Buy David Robinson throwback jersey because you know what? Those jerseys are always going to be in fashion. Because I know I've seen a lot of fans say, well, oh my gosh, I don't know what player's jersey to buy. Well, those jerseys ain't cheap. Go ahead and buy a legacy player. You won't be disappointed. So,
or just personalize your jersey. Put your own last name on it.
Yeah, do that too. But the point is, I just think fans need to be patient, man. You need to be patient. It's going to be an interesting season. There's going to be some things that are going to make us pull our hair out. There are going to be some things that make us really excited. There's going to be games where these rookies look like the next coming of Manu, Timmy, and Tony, followed up by some putrid performances. I mean, heck, even in Summer League, Blake Wesley looked all world. And then the next game he was looking like Russell Westbrook out there, missing a lot of shots. So the point is, you got to be patient with these fellas. It's not going to be an overnight thing. And, we got Brett Brown, the tank commander. Here's my hot take, Jeff. I'm gonna end with this. My hot take is Popovich retires midseason. He's gonna get tired of the losing, and Brett Brown's gonna take over. That's my prediction.
That is a hot take there. Zach, give everybody your Twitter handle so they can chat with you about your hot take and what you have to say.
You can follow me at GetBackZach, and that's ZAK. And I think I've got a black and white picture of my mug on there. I don't know what I have. I always change my picture. I change it up. I get bored. But at GetBackZach, if you like to talk about, nerd stuff, the Spurs, Star Wars, that kind of thing, then I'm probably the page for you. If you don't like any of that, then yeah, probably not.
Give Zach a follow right now. Thanks, Zach, for hopping on this fan episode. And it was kind of a heavy topic here. You got to tread lightly because you don't want to put words in Murray's mouth. We can only just base our opinions on what he tweeted on his Twitter and Instagram. And you want to make sure to also follow Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, and now on YouTube, as well as the Ken's 5 YouTube page and on the Ken's 5 Plus app. Locked On Spurs made its way to the Ken's 5 Plus app. So many ways for you to download, listen to every episode with Zach and many other guests that we have here. And as always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Now, for your second listen, get up to date on the latest news and rumors in the NBA in just 30 minutes every day with Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA, your daily NBA update in just 30 minutes. So for Zach, Shooter McGavin, Escamilla, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.